What's good, YouTube? Dmgaming here, guys. And today I have that special collaboration that I told y'all about. It's going to be a treat, a very, very good treat. And before we get into all of that, guys, follow me on these social media platforms. They're listed on the screen there. You can also follow us on Facebook at Dmgaming06 and help me to reach that 9,000 subscriber mark by clicking that subscribe button and turning on bell icon notifications. Nobody is covering this game like we're covering it on YouTube. So, introducing for today, special guest, Miss Huggable Hipster, y'all.
Hello, hello.
And I'm going to have a link to her Twitter as well as her YouTube channel and whatever other social media handles she want me to put. I'm gonna put those in the description box below. So, Miss Hipster, if y'all have been following the channel, y'all know that I've done a video with her before. And
Yes,
in
yes, yes. Oh my gosh, it feels like years ago.
Yes, it actually was last year. It was like maybe a year ago or so. And so, if you know her, you know that she's not a Dragon Ball fan. And that is perfectly fine, right? Fine.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has their own tastes and everything like that, and I find it interesting and everything. So I'm excited to see the audience their take on it.
Yeah, and so the reason I'm bringing her in, she's a good friend. She's an awesome person. Y'all have to check her out. She does live streams, she does Q&As, she does tea talks, and a really really good individual. So I brought her in because of that simple fact that she's not a Dragon Ball fan and she will openly say that. And so I wanted to get her expressions on the game. I had her do some homework and watch the trailer for the trailers and the gameplays, and I wanted to get her perspective on it from a gamer standpoint because she is a gamer and a female gamer, which is awesome. So that's like the cake or what they say, the cherry with the cherry, the ice cream, the cake with the cherry on top. You getting a lot of good
I
perspectives
think
there.
yeah, someone invented a saying long ago that had cherries with something on top.
Yeah, something with a cherry on top. We don't care what's underneath. It could be ice cream or cake or cookies, whatever. But so she's watched that, and what I want to ask you, first of all, do you want to tell them more about yourself? Let's introduce yourself. Let's go ahead and do that. That's fine.
Yeah, guys, my name is Ariel, also known as Huggable Hipster on YouTube. I do primarily horror game walkthroughs, which is my niche because I know not a lot of people like doing intensive horror games and stuff that has like morbid content, whether it be like psychologically or like blood and gore and all that. I specialize in that. I've been doing YouTube for like 3 years now, which it's crazy to think about. I've been doing it for 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah, I know. I started when I was in college, so yeah, I'm definitely on that journey right now. So it's exciting. I mean, I've been gaming since I was like 10 years old, and I'm really excited to give you guys my perspective on Dragon Ball Z because I take more of a psychological term to gaming whenever it comes to it because that's what I specialized in college was clinical psychology. So I
Ooh,
decided to marry that with gaming.
awesome. So
Yeah.
you watch the gameplay, and
I
I
mean,
I don't know her reaction to this,
okay.
y'all. I don't know what her take is. I don't know what she's gonna say. So
I mean, okay, you know me. I mean, I spill the tea when it comes to gaming.
mhm.
So for me, I'm gonna be honest and I'm really not gonna hold back. You know I do that. So whenever it comes to this game in particular, I looked up the history of a lot of Dragon Ball Z. I looked up some of the stuff on how this all came about actually, and the story isn't bad. It's not the story that I dislike because it's a very interesting tale. It's a very interesting way that it was brought about, and I believe, now correct me if I'm wrong, this story started in the 80s, correct?
It came to the states. I want to say, well, yeah, around 19 in the 1980s is when they started Dragon Ball over in Japan. The actual
Okay.
year that it came over to the Western world, I don't know the exact year. Somebody like Geekdom 101, everybody knows him. He's the guru of it all. He could tell you the exact year that it came into the states. I remember I was maybe 8 or 9 years old when I started watching it here. Now
Okay.
it it was dubbed in. It was actually dubbed in different languages before it even came to the United States. I believe it was in Mexico. That's a interesting fact, y'all. Dragon Ball Z is huge in Mexico.
Interesting.
Yes, my wife's from Mexico, but she didn't know
Interesting.
Dragon Ball Z. But she told me it's huge over there. And if you go and look, you see it is huge over there. And it was actually done there, I believe, before it was done here in the States. And by the time it was done here in the States, it was already done in Japan. Like the Buu saga and all that was
Oh,
completed.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay, you see, I learn something new every day. You see, with this game, okay, watching the gameplay, I'm not gonna lie, it was simplistic. It was something that I see with Zelda. That's what it instantly reminded me of
Okay.
whenever I was seeing the gameplay, like the very kind of battle combat style that I would see whenever like it was Zelda was introduced into the GameCube back in the early 2000s. And that's cool, you know. And I honestly think that for hardcore fans like yourself, like a lot of people who love the Dragon Ball Z universe, they're really going to like this game because it has to do with the lore. It has to do with, you know, with a lot of references to the storyline. And you know me, like I love a good storyline. I love when they keep true to it. So I feel like they've done that with this. But overall, I mean, I just think it's kind of simplistic, honestly, with the gameplay. The graphics are really good.
Uh-huh.
I think it's something that if I were to play it, not gonna lie, I feel like I would be bored by it.
Okay. See, and look, do not send her no kind of hate, no hate in the comments. Y'all know we don't do that here at all because this is exactly why I brought you on. Like real talk. This is
Mhm.
exactly. So once the game comes out, I'm going to challenge you, even if I have to buy you a copy of the game myself. I'm serious. I am going to challenge you to play it. Get your hands on it and let me know what you think after that. So we're gonna do a follow up on this once the
Yeah.
game comes out. Now, CyberConnect 2 is developing the game. They're the same people that made the Naruto games. And
Mhm.
I'm hoping that they do a demo for this. If they do, I'll definitely let you know so you can play that instead, so we don't potentially waste $64
Oh,
on the
absolutely.
game.
Yeah. Yeah,
but
and the thing is that I'm not downing the gameplay at all. Like for me, honestly, like I would love to play it to see how it actually works
uh-huh.
because I can't give a full-on review if I don't see how the controls work, how the maneuverability is, how the map is. Is it glitchy? Is it not glitchy? How's the
Hmm.
camera movement? All that kind of stuff. So for me, like I would absolutely love to play the game and see how it is. I just won't have like I'll have like a true like non-bias towards it when going into it. So
Well, like even right now, I'm not trying to change your mind on anything. I
oh
like
yeah.
that you being straight up front raw. I love this. So, with have you ever played the Naruto games before? Have you ever played any of those?
I have not. I've seen the anime and I love the anime, but I have never played the games before.
Okay, so the same people that made the Naruto games, they're making this game, and they made Asura's Wrath as well.
Mhm.
I don't think you ever played that, but not a whole lot of
No,
people have
I've
played
not.
that. But they actually are the ones that's making this game, and their games are huge on story. The Naruto games are
Mhm.
huge on story. You know, same thing. So this is interesting. Now we getting somewhere. So, and
You see,
that's why I say don't put any hate or anything in the comments, guys, because this is like straight up. I want to hear, and we as a community need to hear because Bandai is marketing this game to the RPG
Mhm.
community. So for people who play RPGs, this is a game that could potentially draw them in. And
Right, and that's the thing, like, with RPGs, I feel, you know, you have kind of, like, this diverse audience of people who
mhm,
will either play, like, horror RPGs or, you know, very action-based RPGs, and that's the thing too, like, I've never said no to trying out a game, like, for
mhm,
example, when someone asked me, "Hey, are you going to try Red Dead Redemption 2?" I was kinda hesitant because I was like, "Okay, I never tried, what is it, a Western video game or anything like that." It turned out to be one of my favorite games. The same with Gears of War. Whenever I tried Ultimate Edition, I became a lover of the series, a fan of the entire just the structure of what it is. And maybe you never know, could probably happen with this game too.
mhm. So the game itself, like from what you've seen so far,
Mhm,
simplicity. I wanna tackle that one first
mhm.
because I'm.
So,
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
oh no, go ahead. That's fine. I think the audio cut out for a moment.
Oh, okay. So I'm wondering, what that triggered in me to think about was is it simplistic to you because perhaps you don't understand the anime or something like that? Because like somebody for me, to me, the gameplay, there's a lot of different nuances to it that maybe I understand because I know the anime. So I'm wondering,
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying? Like maybe like what's your favorite horror movie?
Let's see, Silence of the Lambs.
Silence of the Lambs. Okay, so let's say for example that they did a Silence of the Lambs RPG game. I'm wondering, like, if I
Mm.
watched that, the gameplay of that, would I see it differently? Because I don't understand. Because you love that movie, so you know things about that movie that me
Right.
watching it I wouldn't pick up on or see. That if somebody did a game representing that, you would pick up on that. Whereas me watching it, I would probably be like, "Yeah, it looks fun,"
You're like,
or
"Huh?
"Yeah, it looks."
What?"
You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, exactly. And the reason that I say it was simplistic,
uh-huh.
is because whenever I saw the gameplay movements, it was all the same. There
Hmm.
was nothing that was differing it from one boss battle to another. Now he said in the video that you couldn't show any of the cutscenes because that's absolutely fine. It's
Hmm.
before the game release, so they don't want to show that. But with the battle scenes, I just saw that it was like a lot of combination fighting. It reminded me also in an instance of Street Fighter that
Hmm.
was done by Konami, and I thought that that was really cool because they're paying an homage to the classic games, which is again really awesome. But again, I also have to speak from a standpoint of I've played a lot of games that were either complex or simplistic. For me, that's why I said that, and that's why it reminded me of Zelda too. Because whenever you're fighting combination style games, you're usually going on more of the simplistic side. There's not many moves that you can do whenever you're doing a fight besides like kick, combination punch kick, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and you're right about that. The combat system in the game is not like super extensive like you would see in a real fighting game like Street Fighter
Mhm.
even. The combos are very simplistic and there are some intricacies to it such as super attacks and support character
Mhm.
attacks and things like that are going to be in the game that give more depth to the combat system. So seeing it,
Okay.
they're not gonna. This is that gameplay that you saw was from the demo at E3, so they're not going
Right,
to.
exactly. And yeah, and that's why whenever that was one of the only things I had to go off of. So
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, other than that, the way that it was done, I like that they put traditional Japanese in there as far as the conversations go and they had translations and everything.
Mhm.
One of the characters that I saw kind of looked like Frankenstein, and that made me giggle a little bit.
That was Ader. He was an android from Dragon Ball back when Goku was a kid. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. See, guys, I have no idea about any of this. So for me, it's all interesting to find out.
And that's awesome though because I wish that I could see it the way that you see it, but I see it differently. I see it more in depth because, like I said, the same
Mhm.
thing about the horror films is that I've watched this all my life, and so the homages, the nostalgia, the nuances, the in and outs of things, and it's like
Yeah.
that's really really dope. So let me ask you this about it. I
Mhm.
guess the biggest question, which I probably already know the answer to, is would you buy this game? Like after seeing what you saw, would you not even gonna buy the game? I know you wouldn't buy it based off of this, but if there was a
Mhm.
free to play demo, would you play it?
If there were a free play demo for me to try it out and see how the controls worked and all of that, yes, I would absolutely go for a free play demo. Would I put my money into it? No, I would not. I would absolutely not.
That's
Because for me, like I said, I'm not a fan of the series. I feel
mhm.
like that money is better spent for me putting it into a series that I am passionate about.
And that's fine. That's perfectly fine. Because, like I said, the point of this is because I
Yeah.
know you personally. I know that you're not a fan of Dragon. Well, it's not that you think it's stupid or not. She doesn't think anything like that. She's just
Yeah.
not a fan of it, and that's perfectly fine. There's tons of animes
Like
out
the way
there.
you are with
Can't be a fan of all of them.
yeah, like the way that you are with Dragon Ball Z is the way I am with Resident Evil. So
Yes, yes, and I like Resident Evil, and I have experience with Resident Evil, but nowhere near to the level that you have. So when I see a new Resident Evil game, I'm like, eh. I'll play a demo.
yeah.
Like I played Resident Evil, the newest one. I played that demo, but I didn't buy the game. And they do the remasters.
Right, exactly.
I'll check them out, but I'm not like super into them. Whereas you are, and so
Yeah.
that perspective is super super interesting. So let me ask you this: watching what you
Yeah.
watched, what would you do differently that would make you more interested in this game?
I feel okay. I'm probably gonna sound like such a bad person for saying this
No,
right
you're
now,
not. You're
but
not. No, not at all.
whenever I saw it, I feel like they could have done more with the graphics. They made it look very childish. And
Hmm.
I feel like the entire Dragon Ball Z universe is such a diverse group of people, ranging in young to our age to older. And I feel like they do kind of a disservice to that by making the graphics look very premature
Okay. So interesting point to that
in a
is
sense, you know?
have you ever seen is it what is it, Dragon Heroes? Dragon Quest. The video game Dragon Quest?
I have not.
Okay, so the art style is Akira Toriyama. He's the creator of Dragon Ball Z, and
Mhm.
that is his art style. So I guess with
Okay.
me being a fan of it, I'm familiar with it. So to me, it's not like it doesn't look weird. Whereas, like if I looked at something like Sword Art online, or
Mhm.
Digimon has their separate art style, Pokemon has a different art style. Um, from a fan
Yeah.
standpoint, the animation is it's on point
Yeah,
because
no,
it's
and
it.
I again, I don't say that to be mean or anything
Yeah,
like
of
that. That's one
course,
of
of
just the
course.
observations that I had alongside with actually what oh gosh, what was it? Whenever they were talking, like in some of the dialogue and everything
Uh
like
huh.
that, I felt like the dialogue could have been fleshed out just a little bit more. And again, if that's part of what the series is and
Hmm.
how it's constructed within the story, then that's fine because I'm, like I said, I'm not well versed with this. So if that's the way it is, then that's cool and that's awesome. But from my standpoint, as someone who's also a writer, I feel like they could flesh out a little bit more from what I've seen, at least.
And see, this is important that y'all that I'm asking her these because you know every game developer wants to gain new fans to the series, to their games and stuff, and they ask these types of questions. They want to know this type of information, that hey, if we have somebody who's not familiar with Dragon Ball, who still likes video games, who likes RPGs, how can we bring them in to where
Mhm.
they could potentially play this game and like it? And I think the biggest draw for you would be story, getting to know the
Yes.
story. But like you said, when you have those dialogues that leave a little bit to be desired, then that could be a drop
Mhm.
off point. But there are cinematics that add to the story and stuff like that. Um, and this is, I can tell you right now, everything she's saying,
Yeah.
she's not lying about it,
Oh
because
yeah.
she likes horror video games.
Yeah.
And in games like Resident Evil, the dialogue is there. That story element is there because it has to suck you in. You have to be engaged in that story to enjoy those games. You know what I'm saying? So
Exactly. And that's the thing. Like that's why for example Silent Hill draws me in. Like I don't know if you saw my review on that, but the
yes.
controls absolutely awful. God awful. But the story and the way that it was constructed, it left so much kind of psychological morbid ambiance to it that it really made me and the player think.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, this is really cool. This is something that I can get into. When I see a game like Dragon Ball Z from someone who knows absolutely like zilch zero about it, I think to myself, as a newbie who's coming into the Dragon Ball Z universe,
Hmm.
is this going to be something that I'm going to remember? Because is this a game that is going to be remembered by a newcomer? And that's always a thing that I think of, even with games that I've known for years.
Cool. So the game is advertised as basically living in the universe. So you can do a lot of things. This is an RPG. It's not open world
Mhm.
because that would mess with the story, but it is a
Right.
what I call a free roam sandbox. So you have a lot of different areas that you can go to, and each area is massive. You saw the area they were flying around in. Like
Oh
there's
yeah, gorgeous. Yeah.
there's tons of different areas that are equally as large. So in a sense, it is, but it's really not an open world game. But it's not
Yeah.
linear. Like you don't go from boss to boss to boss. It's you have side quests. You can go fishing. You can eat. Well, you have to eat to otherwise
You
your
see, I
character.
saw the fishing part and everything. I don't know why, but that made me laugh so hard when he put a tail on.
Yeah. So and that's something that goes deeper for like me. I understand it. When Goku, he's a Saiyan, and the Saiyans are born with tails. They're alien race. They're not from Earth. Um, and so Goku had
Oh
his tail
my gosh, that's
removed.
actually pretty cool.
Yeah, he had his tail removed when he was little. So it kind of threw everybody off seeing him stick a tail to his butt. But at the same time, it was like, I understand it. It's an homage because in Dragon Ball, when he was a kid, that's how he would catch fish. He would use his tail to catch fish. So,
See, for me, as like guys, you gotta understand, as a newbie who's coming into this, it's so silly to me, but I understand for it, and that's the thing. Like, I understand the absolute passion for the series that you guys have, and you know what? As someone who looks on other series, like you said before, like you wanted to see my perspective of it and everything
mhm.
like that, and I'm so intrigued by the entire lore of it because I don't like purely because I don't understand it. And that's the thing. Like, someone might come up to me and be like, "Well, I don't understand Resident Evil," and vice versa, you know?
Yeah, but you open the door, that's why I love that they put demos out. To me, it
Yeah.
is important that you put demos out because a lot of games don't do demos anymore, but you need to put demos out if you want more people to try your games because there have been games that I have bought that I otherwise wouldn't have because I played the demo and I loved it. Destiny was a game that if
Right.
I looked at on the surface, but what happened is I got my PlayStation 4. I didn't have any games at the time, and so I went to the store to see, hey, what's some good game demos? They had a demo or a beta for Destiny, and I played it. I turned it on, and I was like, dude, I love this. I'm an RPG type guy and didn't know anything about the game. But had I not played the demo, I wouldn't have known that. I wouldn't have ended up getting the game, and I still wouldn't be playing it 4 years later. You know what I'm saying? So it's imperative that they get,
Exactly.
you
Yes.
know, demos out for these games. Resident Evil does a good job of having demos available for their game.
Oh yeah, you should have seen me whenever they announced that it wasn't going to be a PS4 exclusive for Resident Evil 7. They announced it, I think, at 2 o'clock in the morning, my time, that they were putting out a demo for Resident Evil. I shot up out of my bed faster than someone eating hot sauce. Like it was, it was bad.
Yes. So hipster, I'm closing out the video, and I want you, I guess, whatever else you want to say. If you have any other input, like say if you, okay, perfect example. Let's pretend I'm Bandai Namco. I'm the one that's making this
Mhm.
game, and I want to hear from
Oh,
you. What's
you
up?
cut out for a second. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was saying, pretend that I'm Bandai Namco and I just showed you this game. I
Mhm.
want to hear your feedback, like your summarizational feedback on this game and how I could potentially do something different to, make it more appealing to other
Mhm.
other gamers.
Okay. This since and I would tell this to him as well. Since I'm not as familiar with the Dragon Ball Z universe, one thing I would say is that for me at least, I any corrections that I would make are not since I don't know the story, I probably would be wrong in the corrections I would try to make, you know? So anything that I would say, he would probably be like, "Oh, that's in the story, that's in the lore or what have you." And anything that I would say would probably be about the gameplay and not the story itself.
Mhm.
So again, like I said before, the movements are very simplistic. The fighting styles are very repetitive, and like the bosses that you go to, like the robot that I saw, or whenever you're catching fish, all that kind of thing. It's a very simplistic motive for the game
Mhm.
while it's thriving off of this story, and it's a very diverse universe. It's very diverse in the way it's structured from when it first was created until when they made the games now. And if it weren't for the story, I don't think the game would be as diverse as it is.
Okay. So I'm hearing that as a developer. What I'm hearing, I'm gonna retranslate that to y'all. What that means is that
Yeah.
something that they can do to perhaps improve the game is provide a more in-depth combat system, make the
Yeah.
game more in-depth and maybe not so story focused. Make it like so it's not a thing that you
Mhm.
need to know the story to get the most out of the game in a sense. Perhaps provide more
Yeah.
depth in the combat, more depth in the interactions, and it may be that way in the game. They haven't showed off everything the game has to offer, but it's going to be important if
Right.
you want to bring in new people. If that stuff is in the game, to show it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and as someone who's coming in, like, I'm going to use Resident Evil example again. I don't expect them to pander to every audience that's new that's coming in. You can't do that whenever you are a successful game company who is making a very large series. Like, I wouldn't expect someone to who is new into the Resident Evil series to know exactly what's going on if they're playing the second or even the seventh game. Like, no game should really ever have to pander to all of the newbies that are coming in. If they know the story, great. If they don't, hey, find out the story for yourself, do your research, and then get caught up with everything. I feel like if they are going to necessarily pander to everyone that's coming in, the game won't succeed. And
Yes.
that's just my thought on it. Because whenever you're doing a game and you want to pander to every audience that's out there, the game then suffers. So if they're going to do something of where it's like different controls to drag new people in or something like that, that's cool. But don't change the story or any of like the really hardcore stuff to appease people.
And a lot of people wonder why they didn't start with Dragon Ball Super or something. Why did they start with Z? Or and I said this in the early video is that they started with Z because they instead of Super because there are people who they want to introduce to Dragon Ball, and a lot of us came into being fans of Dragon Ball, including myself, watching Dragon Ball Z. I had to go back and watch Dragon Ball, and then of course fell into Dragon Ball Super. So Hipster, awesome time with you. I love this and I really appreciate
Yes.
your insight. And this is gonna
Yeah.
help me with my videos going forward to look at things in a different perspective as well. So greatly appreciate it. And if you wanna
Yeah.
say anything else to the audience out there, feel free to do
Yeah,
so.
I just really hope I didn't trigger anybody too badly. My intention is never to be mean or anything like that. My intention is always to just be honest and upfront with people because I'd rather be honest with you guys than sugarcoat anything
Yes.
to the extent of trying to appease the audience here. That's not my goal. So I really hope I really enjoyed being here on this podcast. It was really such an honor, and I'm so happy that I got to talk about this with you. It was really really cool.
Yes. So I will leave, like I said, I'll leave a link to all her social media stuff and her YouTube channel in the description box below. And like I said, also, yeah, like she said, she's not here to deliver hate. That's not the point of this video. The point of the video
Mhm.
is to give us, including myself and Bandai, if they're listening, a perspective or a look through the eyes of someone who's not a Dragon Ball fan. And that's perfectly fine because in order for us to grow as a community, you do need to bring in more people. So there needs to be things that you can do or implement in your games or whatever to introduce yourself and bring in more people. That's how you grow. That's how you get more sales. That's how you get more games in the long run. So Hipster, I appreciate you for tuning
Right.
in. Everybody, appreciate y'all for tuning in. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Click that bell icon so you don't miss great videos like these. Till next time, y'all. Thanks for watching. Peace.